wow.
Like literally. And I'm rolling my eyes.
You were so mad at me at that moment. You were so pissed. What are you making me watch, Greg? Why?
All right. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, we get the boobies right away.
Hell yeah.
Get that out of the way.
Dan O'Bannon.
This is the road to Potter's Bluff. There is no road out.
This is Midnight Local, and I'm going to try to not sound like I'm doing the morning drive.
Whenever you say you're not going to sound that, you go right into morning drive.
I know, because it's so much fun.
You're good at it. I like your morning drive voice. I'll take it.
Hey everybody, it's Greg and Meredith, and you're on the Drive at 9. We're talking about movies and the state of the world. It's the year 2025. Everything sucks.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, coming back at you in a whole new universe, it feels like. Because last time we recorded was, I don't know, late November, early December.
Yes.
How were your holidays?
They were holorific.
Sounds wonderful.
I don't have a dad anymore.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to talk about that publicly or not.
Sorry.
Do you want that on the show?
I don't give a shit.
Mind.
No,
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't want to talk about it, but when you tee me up for a one-liner like that, I'm like Roger Rabbit. I can't not.
The shave and the haircut.
Yeah, I can only when it's funny. I have no choice.
Yeah, tough holidays. It was just part of the reason we're coming back late. Also, just general stuff going on with How to Drink. Lots of new things there. Lots of maintenance. I know your wife was sick for a while. Our family's been sick a ton. So
yeah, you sound like you have a cold right now.
It's getting better. This is partially why we've waited a while to record, is because I sound all sorts of crazy. But at least the cough isn't happening like every 2 seconds, so I'm able to speak. But yeah, a little bit congested still.
That's what editing is for.
I mean, the cough was like, I don't know. When we did all those episodes, it was like Alien and The Matrix, like a year and a half ago. I was sick that whole time, and cutting around it was hard. It wasn't the best.
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Yeah. The hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Literally hundreds of dollars. Yeah, that's actually funny. People were asking me, hey, Greg, when's Midnight Local coming back on our patrons only Discord for you? Well, we should specify. Midnight Local is a separate business operation from How to Drink. And so when I say our Discord, I don't mean the Midnight Local Discord because there isn't one. I'm talking about the How to Drink Discord and Patreon. Anyway, that doesn't mean people don't talk in there. And they were asking, where is it? And I said, well, we made $500 last year doing this show. So we'll get right back to you on that.
I mean, it is fun to do, and I think I was kind of the holdout on this new direction that we're taking in the bargain bin movies because, well, we were working with a studio, and I thought, man, we're never going to get the views they want us to get. We were chasing that studio money, which actually we were getting paid more when we were with the studio by a long shot. So it's not exactly a joke, and I wanted to make sure we were getting enough views to stick with them, which was never going to happen.
Us really fucked my financial prospects. In fact, well, not that it was a ton of money, but it helped.
We were never going to get to the numbers they were talking about. It was crazy numbers. We'd have to be talking politics, which I don't think you all want us to do.
I mean, they were on some kind of PCP or something, thinking
it's like 100,000 views a month or something, or an episode. Okay. It was like,
well, they were telling us like, hey, that's probably going to happen for you, and I was just like, oh,
they were
cool.
very optimistic at the outset. Yeah,
awesome. That'll be so neat when that happens. Super cool.
But yeah, now we're free to talk about what we want to talk about, and now we've watched this stack of bargain bin movies that have just been wonderful.
I've decided that we are now the official podcast of Night Flight Plus, and we're going to keep saying that until they sue us.
That's right. They don't know it yet, but I am on Night Flight Plus. Can you explain? Do you know, like, where does Night Flight Plus come from? Why does it exist? What is it?
Yeah, so Night Flight was a TV series that was on late at night on, I'm pretty sure, VH1, if I'm not mistaken, in the early 90s. Or maybe it was on USA, or maybe it was one of those things that floated from channel to channel. and it was a hodgepodge show of like rock and roll like music interviews, music documentaries, music performances, but also like interspersed with like weird avant-garde animation and like B-movie exploitation, horror type stuff kind of like throughout. If anything, I think it was probably closer to like a Rolling Stone, the channel, where like the implication was like, you're going to get music news and ongoings and behind the scenes looks, but also you're probably on drugs. So here's some weird fucking shit.
Got it.
And I was not into it. I was probably too young, and I wasn't really like, it wasn't going to catch my interest at that age. But now Night Flight Plus is the streaming service that like it makes all of that available, and a lot of times hilariously, I think it's amazing, like as aired they have as an option, like Night Flight Plus Night Flight episode whatever as aired, and it's like a VHS that has all the commercials.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They just like uploaded it. We're not going to look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, when I signed into this thing, I saw like 3 late night movies that were looking very pornographic. And
there's a lot of that on there.
What did you get me into?
Because the Russ Myers thing is going on.
Oh, is that like a specific thing for right now?
They have 3 Russ Myers flicks. They're doing vixens. Russ Myers is a important director, believe it or not, who happened to make a lot of exploitation skin flicks.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. We actually, it depended on who your teacher was, but like one of my film teachers, like we actually studied Russ Myers at school because he, just like as a matter of course, like he was making huge movies for like pennies, and shooting in Europe and stuff like that. And they were always like really, really racy and controversial. And a lot of them had like really big names in it, and a lot of them didn't as well. And it was largely because he was willing to work, or at least in part because he was willing to work with like gay people. Like he put gay people to work on set and stuff like that. And so part of that was like they came cheap because nobody else was hiring. and also he's like an important, a little DEI action there. A little DEI action there. I'm trying to figure out how to make E into exploit in that scenario. But like, it like in a way that like I may be speaking a little bit out of turn, but like you can almost think of him as like a Roger Corman, where so many people went through sort of the Russ Myers school of like, we're going to grind out these fucking budget movies.
We'll have to watch one of his.
Like he had
I'm
like
completely unfamiliar. So.
I'm not familiar with Vixens, which is the series that they have on there, but like The Music Lovers, Listomania, I think that probably his most famous movies are, he did the movies for The Who, so Tommy. And then The Who Sell Out, and then I got it, like it's 1,000 movies, so I can't remember the names of it, but like huge actors in some of this stuff too.
Okay, yeah, Tommy I'm familiar with as a musical theater nerd.
For sure, yeah. And I think that like The Music Lover, what's the other one? The one with the naked men wrestling.
Okay, so there's a lot of that type of like you see exploitation in the synopsis of a lot of these. So the first movie we're watching, Dead and Buried, I actually watched on Peacock, is much more mainstream feeling.
Yes.
Did you?
It's also on Shudder as well, by the way.
Okay, is it on Night Flight or no? Was this one we chose before that? Okay.
But I want to say like exploitation. If you're not like a film history nerd, that sounds like one thing. That sounds like we're exploiting the cast, or we're exploiting like we're I don't know, like something. It sounds like a negative, and I guess it could be in that it's like it's the realm of schlock films, but it really means exploiting headlines is what it is. It's about exploiting the culture, the zeitgeist of right now, and making movies that respond in a salacious way to what people are thinking about right now, as opposed to, cinema, which is, and I think that the lines are kind of blurred anymore in a lot of ways, but like, you think about like classic movies and stuff like that. Like they were aiming for a more timeless quality. Of course they are always of their time, but they weren't trying to be like supermarket tabloid movies. Like
Well,
supermarket tabloid movie is basically what I think what you should understand exploitation to mean.
Yeah, okay. Dead and Buried goes out of its way to be timeless, in my opinion.
Dead and Buried is not an exploitation flick; it's a horror flick.
Okay. Yeah, right. We kind of buried the lead on that being where we're starting.
All right, Dead and Buried, fucking great movie.
So, okay, yeah. So
is this movie awesome or
movie
what?
was made in 1981, hour and 34 minutes, which that's our favorite length of movie, hour 30 to an hour 40.
Yeah, keep it tight, baby.
Rated R, budget of $3 million, and there really was no info about what the movie made, at least not on IMDb. I couldn't find much about gross or how it did.
Let me look it up real quick. There used to be a website called Movie Box Office Mojo.
I think we started to record this film record on this film a while back, and
we had technical problems.
Exactly. We had our microphone or camera was going crazy, but I think this is exactly what happened when we opened the last episode.
Yeah, I don't know that it made any. I don't know how much money it made. So I can't find that. It's not on Movie Box.
It's not relevant to this movie.
Not relevant because it's good. It could have made nothing. And
I
great.
think it got tanked at least internationally because it was put on the Video Nasties list in the UK.
That was a Video Nasty?
It is. It wasn't that crazy.
It is crazy because there's a wide range then of what a Video Nasty is.
Well, but there weren't that many. Let me just...
Video Nasties, for those of you who know,
that's exactly because
were home video releases that the British government decided were banned.
But it was only the complete list was only 72 banned titles.
Yeah, it was a short time frame that they were banning stuff. But on there are things like Cannibal Holocaust, which is yep, I could understand banning that.
Yes, But this movie making the list is actually insane. It feels like there's some bad blood between people that landed this movie on the list.
Or
Cannibal Holocaust is on the list.
Oh yeah, and it should be.
The Cannibal Man.
That's a movie you should not watch.
Yeah, you've said that. Let's see if there's any information for why this
damage
one
your
made the
mortal
list.
soul. It's a movie for which the filmmakers probably should have been prosecuted. Anyway.
Oh, not this one.
No. That's what I'm saying. Is that's bizarre, but it could have been one of those things too, where there was a moral panic at the time.
Yeah.
And they were just and we're banning it, and we're banning it. We're not even going to look at it. We're banning it.
It says the movie was not prosecuted. Were some of these movies
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget what movie it was that I was watching the other day, and my wife and I just sort of we lost interest. But an appeal was that ooh, the distributor was jailed.
Yeah.
I was wow.
Yeah, this one
they
was
arrested him for trying to distribute this in the UK.
Yeah,
Holy
with obscenity charges. Yeah, this one that says this one was later acquitted of obscenity charges, which compared to other movies of the 70s and 80s, there's this. Trust us when we tell you we are not getting you. If you choose to watch this movie, we're not getting you into something you can't handle.
The one thing I would say is that there are cultural things that as an American, we forget that that the UK has a different culture. Because,
yeah, sure.
The things that they're willing to discuss, even though we all speak the same language, they have different meanings behind them. Anyway,
yeah.
And especially back then, I think that it's possible that desecrating the dead,
sure,
is, and there is an implication in this movie of necrophilia, and I think that that's the kind of thing that could get you, that's obscene. That's an obscenity.
Sure, it doesn't quite go there though. Yeah, they don't make a guess as to what.
But doesn't it?
Well, let's start going through it bit by bit, and I'm curious to see what part you're talking about exactly. But other notables about this movie before we get into the timeline is that there's a story credit by Dan O'Bannon.
Yeah,
but he's
always good.
But he says that the script, he said none of his ideas were taken, and not a moment of the script is what he intended.
I don't know. I watched this movie because his name was on it.
Do you think he distanced himself from it because it was made a Video Nasty and he just was like, I don't.
O'Bannon wouldn't have given
he
a
wouldn't
shit.
have cared. Okay.
No, as far as I'm aware, I think that I could see that being a nod to a friend who got the writing credit. But no, they did the work. It's not mine. Put that on their resume.
He did not like this movie from what I've read.
Well, so. I don't know. I don't know what to say. He was a genius. His movies are fantastic. Basically everything he made I enjoy. And I think that his fingerprints must be on this because it struck all the Dan O'Bannon chords for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what his objection was to it, except
Yeah.
that maybe he didn't work on it actually. Maybe they just took
Yeah,
his
there's
script.
something went awry. But their taglines, they tried to market this movie very much on his involvement. Like the taglines that I came across were the creators of Alien bring a new
Yep.
terror to Earth, the writers of Alien, which it's not really Alien-esque necessarily either, but
No, but it does
more,
bear resemblance to Return of the Living
yes,
Dead
exactly.
and some of his other work and stuff like that. Like his sensibilities are there is what I'm getting at. Like Alien too, like Alien is so much Ridley's movie.
Yeah,
like
right.
Dan O'Bannon did not write, and everything is adapted from an H.R. Geiger painting. Like that's not in
Sure.
the script.
I would say this feels more like the other Dan O'Bannon that we've talked about and seen than Alien does. Alien feels like the outlier.
I think that the one thing that kind of comes together for me as a Dan O'Bannon thing is that like you cannot win.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a desperation.
Spoiler alert, but yeah.
So, okay, this movie opens on a beach with a photographer.
Very 70s looking, early 80s looking.
He's got
photographer.
does he have the collar neck? Does he have, I forget, is he wearing a black turtleneck? Kind of like, I'm a slick photographer,
yes,
man.
He looks like a city slick guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a very libertarian, libertine sort of artiste in from the city with my camera. And
His
he's taking
expensive
photos,
camera, yeah.
very expensive camera. And it was, too, if I'm not mistaken. I think
That's
it
what
was
she points that out, right? He runs into this beautiful woman on the beach while he's taking pictures of the landscape.
Yep, doing landscapes. And then she says, "You want to take pictures of me?"
Mm-hmm.
Wow!
Like literally. And I'm rolling my eyes.
You were so mad at me at that moment. You were so pissed. What are you making me watch, Greg? Why?
All right. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, we get the boobies right away.
Hell yeah.
Get that out of the way.
Dan O'Bannon.
But then you have this moment, you're like, all right. And then these people just start popping up out of nowhere with
What's the name of the town again?
cameras. It's Potter's Bluff.
Welcome to Potter's Bluff.
What is the name of the town in
Pottersville.
It is Pottersville. Okay,
Yeah.
and It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's purposeful or not. This group of people, a large group of people, descend upon him, and then you cut to him tied up using fish netting, which this actor sells this really well. Like the way he's putting his face up against that netting, like it just looks horrific.
Just a quick aside. Potter's. It might be a play on a potter's field. A potter's field is a common grave for poor people.
Okay.
It's just a trench you dig and throw the bodies of like the destitute into and cover it up every so often.
That's more likely.
It could also be a play on Pottersville. I don't know.
Probably not.
Or
It doesn't really make any sense for it to be in the context of this movie in any other way.
Yeah, he really, it is a horrifying scene. And then he gets like clubbed in the head, right?
No, they douse him with gasoline.
Yeah, but there's a moment when he gets hit in the head. And
maybe before they tie him up.
I think it's his death. And I love it because like you can hear his IQ drop.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, that's a good way to sell a head injury.
Because he goes out burning. Like you see him like pushing and screaming. So they light him on fire. And they're all just calmly taking
pictures
of him and videotaping him as he burns to death.
This movie throws you into some fucked up, like it tells you right away, like strap in, baby. This shit's fucked up.
So the detective is on the case. The coroner Dobbs comes and looks at him, and then actually very importantly, you see this. They've set up the car to look like this guy crashed and burned in his car.
Yes.
And you see him scream. So
he's
alive.
Still alive. Yeah, he's
right,
still alive.
which is important. Then we cut to the diner. Then we're back on the dock with this drunk captain.
Oh, you want to know about boats? I know about boats. I've been on boats my whole life. Oh, I know about boats. Boats. He just keeps talking about boats in the dark.
Where is this going? And then this crowd descends upon him and just slashes him in the face. Like
they come out of the shadows. They come out of the walls behind him. I mean, and so that was one of my things about this that I love so much is that there's so many different flavors of horror in this movie. It's almost like they're like, and it's the attack of the unseen, and it's the, it's body horror and it's gore and this one we're gonna do like this, and it's just like, oh man, they're just like checking the boxes.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're almost showing off because every one of them is like, oh, yep, that's one of the
Yeah.
best versions of that I've seen. Oh shit, you fucking killed that. Damn.
Well, and what I thought
oh my
was-
God, we're doing a haunted house? This is so good.
Oh yeah, we do go there too. Well, what I thought was really striking from the beginning is like, so we've, in those 3 scenes you set up, we also have this detective story aspect to it, and he's a very Columbo feeling guy.
Yeah. I can
Danny,
see
the
that.
detective that we're following. But usually when you have that sort of setup, if they tell you who the killer is, which in this case they are, you've got him looking for one person, and you know you're going to get, you're kind of pulling for him to be led in the right direction.
Yeah.
But there is no killer. There's a group of people that all seem completely calm, fine. There doesn't seem to be cracks in this group, any way in to break them up. Cult, you don't really know what you're dealing with. And so trying to imagine how this detective was going to unravel what was going on, like your point to Dan O'Bannon, just felt hopeless immediately. There's no one guy to stop. You've got a whole town full of people. Like, what are you going to do about it? Covering for each other, misdirecting you.
And we know that, well, no, we know it's the whole town because we see them all. At
Mostly.
that
It's
murder.
not every single one of them, and that is sort of important. Like, the guy working at the hotel isn't involved. The doctor isn't involved. And those are... Because you have no reliable narrators in who he's interviewing around town. You have no idea. His wife...
I think that what I love about this movie is when they introduce Dobbs. No, I mean, this is one of the many things I love about this movie. I loved the characterization of Dobbs, and he's slowly driving down the hill when you first see him in that hearse, and he's singing the song, and he's got the carnation on his lapel and everything like that. And he saunters up and everything like that. And I thought at that moment, the first time I watched this movie, I was like, oh, that's interesting. They took this like relatively minor character and they just poured so much characterization into him, so many choices, you know. I was like, oh, the flavorful choice. I'm going to enjoy this film. And of course it's Grandpa Joe.
It's Jack Albertson plays Dobbs, who's Grandpa Joe from Charlie and or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the 70s version.
Right. Yes. And great.
He was dying while making this movie. He was battling cancer, and I think was looking pretty dire while he was making this movie. Probably brings a lot to his performance too, because he is a coroner. He's got this philosophy, like his makeup is his art, and he believes very strongly in the art of caring for these bodies after death, to almost like a obsessive.
He produces
degree.
memories.
He says that he's talking about makeup artists, and he says that they give birth and he makes souvenirs, is the way that he states it. But he sounds pissed about that.
Oh.
Which does end up kind of making sense to me.
I may have heard that slightly differently. I heard when he said, I thought he said he makes memories, and that I'm not merely making souvenirs. That's what I heard. I don't, that's what, in that scene, I thought he said specifically, like, I thought he said that. I don't know. One of us is obviously
well, we're
mishearing this,
interpreting it differently, but that's
maybe
fine.
that's the case,
What's your interpretation?
I thought he was saying that, like, I think he was elevating what he does way beyond the mere souvenirs. You know, I make the memories. What my art is the last thing that you will see of this loved one that you will carry with you in your mind. This is how you're going to see them forever. And it's a shame that you're just going to take that and stick that in the ground.
So I was confused by the line at first. I kind of I thought it was an interesting line and then kind of forgot about it until revisiting the film a second time, because like I said, we watched this before the holidays, and the holidays, I mean, given everything that's happening in the world and just the holidays, I feel like I'm living on a completely different planet than I was then. So I just like revisited it because my brain was just like, did I watch that 20 years ago? Yeah. So anyway, I think what he's trying to say is that these beauticians and stuff get to bring something to life, and I'm just making souvenirs for people to remember. I think he's mad that he doesn't get to bring them to life. He feels his work is so good that it should be appreciated as a living, walking thing.
Spoiler. Okay, so our detective, Danny, his wife, way out of his league, is
She is hot, yeah.
He's fine looking. He's fine.
Ray thought he was a Robert De Niro type. I think Columbo type. Like, yeah. He's...
I actually thought he was the dad from the Wonder Years and had to find out. I looked him up. I was like, it's got to be the same guy. It's not. His wife's a school teacher, and he's like really like paranoid because everybody's lying to him. He finds out that the dead guy was a photographer. The burned guy was a photographer, and that his wife knew him.
Had gone to his hotel room.
And he's freaked out about that. She says, oh, well, because I was buying photography equipment for the school, which, by the way, weird thing to not at all ever casually bring up in conversation with your husband, but he's willing to brush that aside. Not just like, by the way, after work today, I'm going to a hotel. I'm going to go meet this person at a hotel. I won't be home.
Yeah.
It does feel keep each other aware of our goings on. Like, I think it would be just weird to not come. Anyway, he brushes that aside.
Well, I feel like when someone's a detective or in a job like that, I kind of assume they're working such odd hours. They're out of the house so much that you kind of stop. They don't have kids, so I can see like he's not going to be home anyway. So I'm just going to run this errand. I'll see him later. I could make a case for it being normal. Doesn't matter. She lies, he buys it.
Yeah. Then he runs into the principal, who's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We don't buy any cameras. And she's like, oh, well, thank you for ruining the surprise.
Yeah.
So he's big surprise cameras. So it's like waves of lies about this thing cascading. So he starts going through her shit and finds a book on black magic hidden in her underwear
That's
drawer.
quite a bit later, but that
and a
does
dagger.
Yeah.
And and it's in her like in her lingerie drawer.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
And she's like, yeah, I'm using that for school. You know, kids
teaching,
love spooky things. I'm a teacher. And he's like, doesn't occur to be like, in your underwear drawer?
But also, like, the next day he goes to class, she's talking about like people being conventionally alive or conventionally dead. Like,
yes,
there's another way of living, like the unconventionally alive people.
Yes. He confronts Dobbs at some point with the book, and I love though that he's like, yeah, I was Dobbs. He's like, tell your wife I'm annoyed. Obvious, like, I don't know anything about her weird witchcraft black magic. She wanted me to offer some insights for her class, and like, just because I work with bodies and stuff doesn't mean I know anything about that. What the fuck? And then later in the movie, when we find out that he's actually been raising everybody from the dead, Danny's like, how did you do it? He's like, black magic.
Yes, everyone is very casual liars in this movie.
Duh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's black magic. I don't know how it works.
Yes, gaslighters, I should say. This is gaslighting. What you're seeing, is it real? You silly thing.
You know, Danny is gaslit a little bit. I will allow the use of gaslighting here. Yes, he's a little bit gaslit.
Yeah. He sees things plain as day, and then he goes down to his wife, and she's like, oh, how silly of you to put 2 and 2 together. Two and two don't go together.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit, yeah. Well, and in between sort of the beats at the beginning of the movie and that beat, this family drives into town.
Yeah.
And actually, for the plot of the movie, not a big deal. Could probably, for the action of the movie, this is very important. For the plot of the movie, this could have been done a million other ways.
Right, yeah.
But it turns into a true zombie movie at this point. Although we don't think we dealing with zombies yet. No. We don't think that, but it gives you, like, truly this is where you get Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
or Return of the Living Dead.
And there's killing going on throughout it. Don't forget the hitchhiker girl.
So she comes after that, but yes.
She does?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the one thing is that, like, those scenes also serve to reveal over time, not only that this is ongoing and, like, expansive.
Yes.
But, like, hitchhiker girl is killed by the sea captain who was killed earlier.
Yes. And also, that's another reveal you get. So this family is lost. They pull up to the diner. They walk in, and Freddie, our guy from the beginning, is there looking exactly like he did. And the way we get there is he's in the hospital, and the woman who he meets on the beach in the beginning drives a needle into his eye and kills him.
Yeah,
which is
brutal.
So the
That's body horror, man. That's
yeah,
fucking...
the body horror parts of it. So the body effects are done by Stan Winston, who
top quality.
yeah, he did Aliens in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
I assume Alien and Aliens. I have Aliens written down, but I assume that means
no, he did not do Alien.
You think he did the second one?
I know he didn't do Alien.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Aliens is correct in Jurassic Park.
He worked with Cameron. He was a LA guy. Alien was produced in England, and frankly, I don't know who did the creature effects on it, but I do know that Stan Winston got the job on Aliens because it's like a big. It's like lore. Like to do the Queen, they built this thing out of cardboard and garbage bags and showed James Cameron, like, this is how we can maybe build an alien queen for you in a parking and they did it in a parking lot. And
wow.
So to just demonstrate that, like, the props will work and everything.
I think people think that, like, people who work on movies do a great movie and then they just do great movies for the rest of their career.
No,
they become like the guy, and it's like, no, they do a lot of movies like this. Like, so the body that he builds that's in a full cast was a full animatronic, and it's like,
why?
I think sometimes movies like this, like that body in the cast.
Yeah, but why is it an animatronic is what I don't
Because
understand.
I think that honestly with movies like this you get a budget, and someone like him, they're like, we want to bring you on, and he's like, well, what's my budget? Because I've been wanting to like experiment with X, Y, and Z. It could look really cool. And they're like, yeah, they're making these movies, these B movies, in order to test shit out.
Yeah.
Not that they don't test shit out on big movies too.
Well, I think that in that line of work in particular, it's interesting. I never even thought about this until you've just now said it. But like creature effects, it is dependent on that kind of a waste, right? Like Stan Winston needs to take that budget and put it towards things that are outside the service of the film so that he knows how to do the things for the next movie. And those things enable, like, geez, can we even write this into the script? Well, actually, yes, you can, because we know how to do that now. You know, like,
yes.
There's like a pay it forward thing happening. I don't know if you see that anymore in movies. In fact, I wonder if the opposite is happening, where things are getting smaller.
Yeah, I do feel that way. I think that's true. Ray, who is a special effects editor, like, loves to watch movies from this era because you see the lineage. It's like the line backwards to where we ended up. And there is a point at which it's like better. Now things are worse.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
the other big moment for Stan in this movie, there's two more. One I feel is very successful and one kind of sucks, but you've got the hitchhiker you were talking about. Dobbs reconstructs her on the table. It's the first time you sort of see him put his craft to work.
It's bizarre. Yeah. And it's also like before you really know what's going on there. And it at that moment in the movie, I'm watching it, I'm like, that is not what a mortician does.
No, he takes her down to bones and muscle and then reconstructs her.
I was like, I don't know if the filmmakers don't. I always have this problem where I'm like, do the filmmakers know that that's not what a mortician does, or am I supposed to look at that and say that's weird?
No, I think the latter for sure.
Yeah, you definitely are.
Yeah, because and the first time I watched it, I was like, wow. I thought it was like a morphed shot. It's not really. Where her skin just kind of grew back. It doesn't really do that. It is like a sort of fade, cross dissolves of 6 or 7 beautifully built mannequins.
It's not a reverse melt.
No, but the props that he built are works of art. They're absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah. I mean, Stan and the team.
Yeah, and then the last one he does is the acid going into the guy's nose, which is much cheesier looking.
I have, I'll take your word for it. I don't have a strong memory of it, but I think you're probably right. Yeah,
I think they're putting acid in his face when they catch the doctor.
It seems, one of the
sort
things
of melts his face from within.
What I think is interesting. So it is ultimately revealed, of course, as we've already blown. Dobbs is rebuilding people and bringing them back to life. Mm-hmm. And they are zombies.
And he wants a challenge. Like
I think, yes.
Yes.
They're all horribly disfigured in their killing. just destroyed, burned, melted, flayed.
Faces slashed up. Yeah.
Exactly. He wants to be able to work from like tabula rasa. You know, he wants a blank slate.
Yeah.
Ooh, tabula rasa. He pulls out. Thank you. Oh my, yes.
Give yourself a little pat.
All $5 of that word. As he strokes his chin, I gotta become an everyman. I am an ass.
Yeah. This is out of style, Greg. The liberal elitism is out of style.
Out of style. All of this is like par for the course in a horror film, right? In some ways, like, oh, cool, zombies. Oh, cool. Like, you know, even better than that. Like at the beginning of the movie, I think, if you have some horror literacy and these people are taking pictures on this seaside village of this dude being burned alive, you've got to be thinking of Wicker Man, because this is super duper Wicker Man vibes here. And you're thinking, okay, we're doing folk horror. Like, it really leads you down the folk horror path, that there's a cult, that there is some secret under the surface here that all of the people are in on, and it's cultural, right? Like, that's what the Wicker Man is. Specifically, like the burning, the seaside coastline, all of that really feels lifted from Wicker Man. And then it's not that, and it's like, okay, wait, something. It keeps, you know, it keeps like playing on those expectations of what you know about horror. And I think it's playing with that too, in that, like, the way it was felt like it's just showing off, like, we're gonna do some torture. Ooh, look at me, I'm checking the box on body horror. Check out my haunted house over here. And it's just like, it feels like it's doing, I kicked my camera. It feels like it's just like we're playing horror bingo, you know, and keeping you guessing.
And a lot of horror movies do this, but it feels like they're shoving those moments in. And what I think ends up being so satisfying about this movie is that it all makes sense. It all works together. It's not like, well, I really want to do a body horror scene, so I'm just going to kind of throw this scene in there. Like, he wants to work on these desecrated bodies. And so that's why these murders have been so brutal and violent. And how's everyone able to stomach doing this? You'd think there'd be one dissenter in the group who's like, I can't handle this. But once they're dead, they're not really themselves anymore.
Well, we don't know that yet.
We don't know it yet, but this is how it all comes together in the end. Do you want to give the ending so that we can talk about these things? He starts to figure out.
He does actually. Our Danny does crack it. He cracks it because he hits that dude, and his arm comes off, or parts of his arm come off, and he has this tissue samples studied, and the guy who gets acid shot up his face is like, Danny, something's weird here, because this is tissue that's been dead for months.
Yeah.
That's
right.
When we start to piece together there's a reanimation plot happening.
Yes. And then he's been doing some calling around and finds out that Dobbs had been let go from a previous job for doing improper things to dead bodies. So is that where you're taking necrophilia from?
No, I'm taking it from the fact that he has sexual relations with his wife, who's a zombie.
Oh, okay. But she's reanimated and acting like his wife.
But decayed. Because they have to go in for regular touch-ups from Dobbs. But she doesn't know that, and he doesn't know that, really. She does, kind of. It's same as like the implied. It's the bestiality in Island of Lost Souls.
Sure.
Where like, oh God, I didn't realize I had sex with an actual fucking panther. Like it's a panther that you sculpted into a person, and I fucked it. Like like that is upsetting. Like just because you didn't know you fucked a corpse, like you fucked a fucking corpse, bro.
Yeah.
The climax of this movie is so good. It's so good because it's like amazing. It's like fantastic reveal.
It's beautifully shot.
Fantastic twist.
Yeah.
Followed by fantastic fucking reveal. Because the first reveal in that confrontation is, of course, when Dobbs is like, oh yeah, I just bring him back to life. I bring him back to life and I give him the memories that I want. And I'm sorry to say, your wife is dead.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe it, But then he starts shooting her, and she keeps coming and asking, why would you do that?
Before that, we've paid off all of these pictures and videos we're taking because they're all showing behind him. So we see a video of his wife having sex with and killing another man.
That's true. Just the infidelity and that she's in on it is the first reveal. The follow-up reveal is that she is a zombie. She's a corpse. And then she, in being shot by him, we're spoiling everything. I don't give a shit. She freaks out or whatever, is confronted with the fact that like, oh God, I'm dead.
Yeah.
And Dobbs is like,
and she's upset. She is like,
she
it's heartbreaking.
crawls into a grave and tells Danny, I should be buried. Bury me, Danny.
Well, so she's not there. And then you get this moment of clarity after he shoots her of like, no, I'm in here somewhere. Please save me. So then he sets out to save her.
He follows her. He does. I don't know what his plan is.
To set her free, to kill her. Yeah.
And of course, all the zombies are out there in the thing. But you know what's interesting is that like nobody's coming really for him, and that's why I'm watching. I'm like, it's interesting. Like he just walks away from that. Like none of these zombies are really coming for him.
Reveal is that they're all sort of trapped in this, and actually they're not just okay with it. They're stuck. Like
he's one of them.
Well, yeah. So then
that's what it is. It's setting up the next reveal, which is he goes back and he's like, "There's one more thing, Danny. I got to show you." And it's that his wife, the guy she's stabbing, is him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you
so
did.
Good.
Oh, it's so good. That to me, that is.
And his fingers, he sees his fingers are decaying. It's like, and it's a little loose, but it's like once you're made aware of being one of these dead people, it's not okay anymore. Like it tortures you. Like,
oh, well, Dobbs will just fix your memories.
And that's what happens. They go in for maintenance. And that's why like he seems to be a newer to this. Like he's literally just come home in his memory.
We have no idea how long Danny has been dead.
Yeah.
We don't know when any of that happened because they're playing with the memory. And we don't know how quickly those in retrospect, right? Because of the whole memory aspect.
Yeah.
We don't know how close together those murders are happening.
And you know what's great,
there could
Greg?
be years.
You know what's great? We don't need to know.
We don't need to know. In fact, it's wonderful that there's this ambiguity hanging over it.
Yes.
I totally agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. It leaves you with something to chew on. Or how many times Danny is reset in the course of this investigation.
You're right. This could be years and years and years playing out.
And you realize, I think once you start looking at it that way, that like Dobbs wanted him to find out. Dobbs is playing with him.
Because Dobbs wants to become one of them. So at some point he needs someone to kill him.
I don't think that was his plan. Do you think so?
He does. He says that he's going to reanimate himself. And that's
he
going to be
does.
his last. And he does. Well, he starts to see
he does. Danny shoots him to death. And then the next
does
thing,
he die?
He crawls onto a table and he starts embalming himself with those things.
Right.
And then he's still there when Danny comes back. He's like, that's when he says, like, there's something else you should know.
Yes. Because his grand plan is to be his last, like, masterpiece. And then he says, like, he's never going to give away his secret of how he never tells you. There's no attempt at explaining the science of how he brings people back to life.
Magic.
I figured it out. And I will never tell anyone. I will take it to the grave with me.
Which is wonderful because, of course, he would. It's so good. That, to me, too, that ending of Danny realizing, like, no! That is, I love that. It's so, gets under your skin. But it also, that, to me, is the most abandoned part of the film because that feels like the end of Return of the Living Dead. Throughout the movie, that they cannot be stopped. And, like, in fact, they cannot be stopped.
Yeah, well,
like that's how the movie ends.
Even right up into the end, you think, okay, he's put his wife in the grave. He's gonna go back and deal with Dobbs. He's finally gonna put an end to this, and it's like it was over before it even began.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so good. I don't have anything really bad to say about this movie.
So good. It's a perfect film.
This one I'm a little lost on why it's so lost. Like it doesn't seem that there's like an underlying like cult fandom of this movie. It is truly lost to time.
I brought it up in our Discord, and Dennis was like, "Oh, I can't believe you never saw that." And I was not like a horror guy growing up. I've become one, so I probably have a lot of ground to cover. So yeah, I would have missed that in the high school days of sitting and binging horror movies at night. But yeah, you're right. I don't know of a cult following for it. I don't hear much about it. What a cool fucking movie.
Yeah, worth it. Pick it up, watch it. Let us know what you think.
What did we watch last night? Penelope Spears. We watched Suburbia last night. And
That's the Tom Hanks movie that you've talked about?
no, that's
No.
that's The Burbs.
Okay.
So it's so funny.
Oh, okay.
I kept saying like, yeah, I've never seen Suburbia. We should check it out. And my wife is like, oh, I saw that. I liked that. Giovanni Ribisi. And I was like, is he much older than I think he is? Because this came out in 1983. And basically there's a movie by Richard Linklater from 1996 called Suburbia with a U capitalized.
Oh, okay.
And then I also had to convince my wife many times that it wasn't a remake and that they had nothing to do with each other. I don't know
Do
why.
you think she believes you? Did you convince
She does.
her?
Yeah,
Now
I
she
did.
does.
I did.
Okay.
I dimmed the lights when I said, "What are you talking about? The lights are still full brightness." And then I hid in the basement and knocked on the floor, so she thought that there were rats in there. And I said, "I don't hear anything." And also, by the way, this isn't a remake. Duh. No, it's not a remake. No, Penelope Spears. She directed. She's like one of the early music video directors in LA. But she's famous for this documentary called The Decline of Western Civilization, where she went and like really did an on the ground cinema verite documentary about the late 70s, early 80s punk culture in LA. It's in the Library of Congress, in that sense of like documenting our history. It's like an important thing. Her follow-up is this movie Suburbia, which I never saw. And I wanted to see, and we finally saw it last night. And I thought we were going to put it on and like fall asleep, but instead it was riveting, and we both stayed up way too late watching this movie. And it's bad.
Oh, it wasn't good.
It's great, but it is raw because there's no actors in it. It's just she went and found kids who were like punks and was like, "You're going to be in this movie now." And so like the performances are terrible. But like honest. I don't know. Like it's all over the map, but like you kind of can't look away from it. And it's a total exploitation flick. The whole story there is just that it was a exploitation movie that we watched last night. That's
Got
all.
it. I'm looking.
There's not much of a linkage there at all, other than just talking about B movies, underground movies. I just think it's interesting that like she is also the director. Like she made that and this movie Dudes and like these other just like punk rock movies. That's what she made. And then all of a sudden she did Wayne's World and
that's Wayne's World. Okay.
The Little Rascals.
Okay.
And,
Okay. Yeah.
The Beverly Hillbillies and like a couple of other like, mid 90s comedies.
Yeah.
And then she was really annoyed. She said she kept trying to pivot her career into other stuff and like it didn't really seem to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Let me tell you, Mike Myers' comedy doesn't really hold up.
Wayne's World does.
Kind of.
Oh, I love Wayne's World.
I love Wayne's World. It holds up for me, who was
yeah.
there and watched it in the 90s, but
Sure.
it's not, you cannot, I mean, so I get to do this a lot because my spouse is 6 years younger than me and is the oldest of 5. Mm-hmm. So all of their media sort of trickles downwards, where I was the youngest in my entire family. So
you were
always
watching stuff that was older because you had to keep.
Yes, like cusper Gen Xer stuff, like very 80s. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, Wayne's World was the funniest thing when we were in grade school.
Great
Most
movie.
Quotable movie.
Probably
we
not one you
watched
should have
it
seen in grade
recently.
school, but-
Did not have any sort of
That's
effect
so
on
funny.
Ray.
That's
And also
funny.
same kind of
Why?
holds true. Like the first Austin Powers holds up, but anything after that is just like.
I don't particularly expect
Yeah.
Austin Powers to be funny at all. I didn't
And
really
so-
love Austin Powers when it came out, to be honest.
We
but-
went down this rabbit hole because Ray was working on that Netflix show that Mike Myers did recently.
Oh,
so
the
you don't even know it
Pentaveret?
existed. What?
The
The
Pentav?
Pentaveret.
Yeah.
Yes, the Pentaveret.
I know it existed.
Did you watch it?
no, it was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's Ray's fault. Ray,
Like,
why
just
didn't you do a
doesn't-
better job?
It doesn't the comedy is not translating to today. It's old, it's gone.
Well, comedy is like that.
Oh,
first
yeah,
off. But I also
absolutely.
don't think that like what is. I don't know to the degree to which Myers had control over Wayne's World, but
Yeah.
I don't really think of Wayne's World as being a Myers film in the sense that like the Love Guru, like once he's like, once the leash was off and he was Mike Myers, can do whatever he wanted.
Yeah,
he
plays
made
all the
Austin Powers
characters.
2, 3, and 4, and the Love Guru and the Pentaverate or whatever it is, and like not good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he worked better when other people were involved and had
their
input and
hands
stuff
on it.
like that.
Yeah, because he only plays Wayne in Wayne's World. He's not.
And he's not the director, and he's
Right.
only Wayne, and exactly, and like a lot of what makes that movie work is Dana Carvey,
Yeah,
and
right.
the people around those characters, and Penelope Spears. The whole, you know, I mean, what is one of the most iconic scenes in that movie? We're now talking about Wayne's World. Is the Bohemian Rhapsody scene? That is what made that was a viral, you know, thing
absolutely.
at the time. And that is a big part of why that movie got cemented into the pop culture. And that's entirely her creation.
Yeah.
You know, like that
montage
was her,
of driving around
and
suburbs of Chicago.
It was a music video that actually
Yeah.
she got an Academy Award for. She took it out of the movie and she got like the Academy Award
did?
for short film for that. Yeah.
She did?
I think so, yes.
I love that. That's a great piece of trivia. I never knew that.
I made it up. No, I didn't make it up. I was just reading about her last night.
Don't debunk it. I want to live in that truth.
I'm looking it up to confirm.
We don't need to debunk things that aren't true anymore. We could just decide they're true and move forward.
Yeah, we can. That's true. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I had a conversation with somebody just about that the other day.
Oh, did you?
Oh yes, I did. And they were very excited about what J.D. Vance told Europe, which is that they
fun.
should be working with the Nazis. And I thought, that seems like a bad idea, actually. And they said, but the Scottish government outlawed praying in your house. And I said, does that sound likely to you? Does that sound like a real thing? Can we look that up and fact check that? And they said, it might not be true, but he said it and it's true. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, it's like literally just like, whoa, man, your thoughts are a single fucking Mobius strip tied in on themselves. It's not true, but it's true.
I had a similar conversation with someone recently where I was like, I can show you hard numbers. This is a fact. Like, this is a factual piece of information. Well, you have your facts and I have mine.
Okay, I did misspeak. She directed the Wayne's World music video work for Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, which earned a Grammy nomination.
Got it. Okay.
So it was not. She did not win an Oscar. She was nominated for a Grammy.
See, and now I'm sad. I liked the world I was living in 30 seconds ago. I understand the desire to do away with facts. That was a happier world.
I don't need facts. That blew my mind though. I was like, can we fact check that? Because if that's true, I would like to know it, and I'd be shocked. And that seems crazy. And their response was, we can fact check it, but it really doesn't matter if it's true.
Because I'm still going to believe that it's true.
And also, I thought fascinating. I was like, J.D. Vance is like famous, like he's lying. Like this person's response was like, why would they say that? I was like, they're lying to make a point to get what they want. Well, if they were lying, I think the media would be all over that, wouldn't they? I was just like, it's very possible that they are, and you're
not hearing it, friend.
You're not watching that media.
Yep.
You know, like I don't think One American News Network is going to cover that. You know, J.D. Vance lies again. Like it's just not going to come up.
Yep. I have a similar person in my life who believes similar things, and it's just like, you can, a cold hard fact. I could say nonpartisan, just a fact. Well, that's a fact for you. I don't know what to do with it. Honestly, I don't know what to do with it. It's like what's actually being said is that's a fact you want to believe. I don't want to. So it's just like, it's not real. And eventually someone will tell me that I'm right, that it's not real. So I can just believe whatever I want to believe.
I think that the response is to read Umberto Eco's essay on fascism.
Okay.
I advise that to everybody. It's a good, fascism is, it's a lot of people say, well, what's the definition of fascism? Are they literally members of the black shirts in Italy in the 30s? Because that's the fascist party. And it's like, yeah, you could be that reductive, but that's why Umberto Eco said, but this is fascism. This is the fascism from which all other fascisms descend. And here are the 13 categories of it. And he
like
really
what
smart.
defines fascism?
Yeah. And he's very smart. He breaks down. He's like, not all fascisms will not use all of these. And many of them are contradictory. And many fascisms will use some of them that are contradictory within themselves. And, he's like, if you have a series of let's say we have 13 character categories here, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, whatever, up to O. And fascism A has, you know, qualities A, B, and C. Okay. And fascism B has qualities B, C, and D. And so these two fascisms are highly like each other. But the next fascism, number 3, only has C, D, and E. And fascism 3 has only barely a touch of, you know, similarity to fascism A, and a lot more to B. And you can imagine this spectra where, like, man, at two far ends of this fascism, they have almost nothing to do with each other, and yet they are connected on this similar continuum. But yeah, like, facts don't matter. Sorry.
Well,
it's like a big one.
As you're speaking, this is what I've come to realize too, especially slowly over the last 10 years, is like what you just said requires like listening and thinking while I'm listening, right? Like, oh, interesting. I'm like visualizing the book and putting these things together and trying to understand what you're saying. And it's not a concept that is like, boop, just grab it, right? Yeah. In fact, to really understand it now, I'm going to have to go to the book that you're talking about, look into it more, and come up with my own opinions. And I think that like you've lost people at that moment of, oh, I have to think while you're talking.
I have thoughts. Well, first thing I want to say to our audience back home, whom, you know, all 12 of you, it's not a book. You can find it online. It's an essay, and it'll take you 20 minutes at most to read. So just, it's not a big investment. Do it.
We'll put a link in the description on YouTube.
Dead and Buried. This week on Midnight Local, it's Dead and Buried and Umberto Eco's Fascism.
That's what we're here for.
No, but there was a comment on a YouTube short that I did recently.
This is interesting.
Yeah, because I did this short about the Anti-Fun Brigade, and it's interesting too because a lot of people are hearing this from both sides, and I didn't because I have bias. And now after hearing people's response, I'm like, oh, I could see how you could both sides that point. I didn't mean for it to be both sides. I was talking about incels. My point was, young people, please go ethically chase some tail because you have way too much free time and anger, and I want you to get laid. I think the world would be much better if you are busy chasing tail ethically and not having political ideas. Please go fuck. Do that now for the next 10 years while people want to fuck you.
Feeling like the idea that feeling any emotions towards something or feeling love towards something is like gay or beta or whatever, that is the thing that is terrifying. So if you allow yourself to have fun or sex, like you've already degraded yourself as a man.
I gotta tell you something right now. I don't think you need to have feelings about it. I think you just need to be busy getting your dick wet so that you're not busy running for office or voting or ripping. I don't give a shit how you feel about it.
I think most people,
you fall in love, go for it. I don't give a shit.
That's what I was gonna say. I think most people will end up realizing feelings exist in themselves.
Fine. Or don't. I don't care. If you are an ethical hedonist, that's good. I'm done. Wherever you blossom from there is fine.
Just stay busy.
The seed of ethical hedonism is all we need to plant because no
Get offline.
No ill will grow from that flower.
Yeah.
But there was a comment on there, and I.
Well, and to clarify, can I clarify how it was misinterpreted? People interpreted it as you saying that everyone's just being the young people are too concerned about everything going on. Just go have fun in life. Yeah. Like this is you're young. This is the only time you'll be young. Go have fun, which is not what you were saying.
It's not what I was saying.
No, but you're not saying like in light of things being hard, in light of not being able to afford a home, in light of, you know, not wanting to have kids because it's too expensive. You were saying in light of sitting in front of your computer and believing that all women are evil because they don't want to have sex with you.
I was saying, oh man, I wish inceldom was that simple. It's not that simple. It's so much more nasty.
I'm just boiling it down. Yeah.
I was saying these things would not be so true. The world would be a safer, better, happier place if you were more concerned with making the most of feeling good in your time, in your place, in your body, and less with thinking about whether or not other people are allowed to feel good.
Yeah.
I seriously, I think that you just need to be distracted. I think a lot of young men around the world do a lot of violence historically because they're not having enough fun. And I also, like, my argument too, what I said was, historically, when the youth adopt an anti-fun movement, only bad things have ever happened. There's really I have yet to run into well, this time it worked out well. It doesn't. It's the Crusades. It's the Reconquista. It's the fucking, the Spanish Inquisition. It is the black shirts and the brown shirts and the Nazis and the fascists. It's the Anti-Temperance League, which, by the way, was a violent movement in the U.S. It's the KKK. Anyway. The way that it's being misinterpreted in a few ways, if I may. One of which is what you said, is that, like, oh, the world's on fire, go have fun. Not saying
don't worry about the things that are ailing you, go have fun.
No, my argument is the world will be less on fire if young people were more busy having fun and not starting fires.
Right.
But my other point, the other way it gets misinterpreted is, that's right, the libs are anti-fun. I'm not allowed to make the funny jokes I want to make anymore because you guys are fun quashers and, like, everything's too serious and you police my language. And it never occurred to me that was the way someone would hear it because of who I am and my biases. And you know what? They might have some of a leg to stand on there, right? Like, I can allow that.
Well, I do think this is what the liberal side of this is coming to terms with, of, like, you've alienated so many people by there being no winning. There's no way to win. Even within, like, we talk about this within the queer community. You're never queer enough. You're never using the right language. You're always just a little bit behind. It's never like you look at how the right does podcasts and media. They allow people to just, like, appeal to a niche, and whoever goes to that niche, great, you're on our side. Think what you want to think. Because as long as you're voting the way we want you to vote, we're not going to come into your podcast and police what you say and talk about the nuances between the differences of how we think. We're different. That's fine. The right is the left has gotten into, like, going to ContraPoints and telling her, no, the way you think about transness is wrong.
Hey, trans woman, you are the wrong kind of trans.
Yeah, the way you think about it is wrong. And we want you, not only do we want you to know that, we want you to never see or hear from you ever again. We want you gone. Yeah. It's so intense.
I don't know that ContraPoints got canceled that hard, but I do know that she had some
But that's the sentiment is just like...
Certainly from some people. Yeah.
It's unwinnable until there's one person left who's won, but they're the only person that thinks that way or is on their own side.
When I said it doesn't get any better than this, that was another thing people took objection to it. What I meant was, like, you are here on the planet that is the best planet in the universe. We have wet, beautiful oceans. We have beautiful sunsets. You can feel the wind on your face. Like, you have, you have fun parts on your body. Like, there are so many wonderful things about being a human on this earth. And, like, it doesn't get better than that. Like, there's not a lot of, like, helping people just enjoy that is about it. That's the most good you can do.
For some reason, though, people do think that controlling how everybody else has fun makes their fun better or makes them feel less bad about
sadism.
Yeah,
that's the reason.
The lack of fun they're having.
It's no, incels are not incels. They're not involuntarily celibate. They are volcels. They are voluntarily celibate, and I think that's really important. Their skin crawls because of the fun other people are having. They are they're angry first and not getting laid second. And I think that's a really important thing. They're not angry because they're not getting laid. It's hard to wrap your head around it because it is a irrational way of thinking. It's not a way of thinking. It's a feeling. It's a way of feeling. Mm-hmm. And it is sadism. It is a desire to pummel other people because it's a desire to impose. It's a desire to say, like, everything you're doing is wrong and I'm going to make you know it. And there's a delight in that, an intoxication in that. Mm-hmm. And I think that, man, we got real political in this episode. No, we got real sociological. This is not politics. This is about people. And the only reason I'm thinking about it, by the way, is because we're watching the Suburbia about the punk rockers from that time. And my wife was taken aback by some of the things that the punk kids are concerned about, talking about, and doing, because in modern parlance, punk is super enmeshed in like leftist, anarcho-leftist, anarcho progressive ideology. But that's post-punk Reformation. That is what happened to punk because there was a fucking war within a punk community between the skinheads, Nazis, and like the anarchists, and also just the people who were like, I just like the music and have no reason to live. And like, really, it's interesting to see that like there was a time when what punk meant was, I hate being alive. Mm-hmm. I just want to destroy society. I have no plans for how to rebuild it or make it better. That came later. Mm-hmm. And it's actually interesting too, is I run into that when I try to talk about cyberpunk as a genre of people, and they're like, yeah, right. And all the characters in these stories are like, you know, struggling against the corporocracy to try to make no, they're not. They just want to live and maybe hurt people. like they just want to tear it down. They don't have it. They're punks. Like, this was a genre codified in the early 80s and late 70s when that term had a very different meaning. Anyway, mm-hmm. I don't know what any of this has to do with anything at this point. It's just the only
like, this is the podcast though. We're going to talk about a movie, lead to other conversations. If you only like the movie, end at the first half.
Right.
We'll put a commercial there, and if you want to join us for the other stuff,
it was
keep
just
listening.
Connected points in my brain, but like
that's what everybody's thinking. Well, it's what a lot of people are thinking about. Well, plus you just put out this short that just like had this reaction, and it was interesting because I think you and I both thought that your point was very clear. I do think when you said it doesn't get any better than this was the only thing in there that I was like, that could be taken the wrong way.
Yeah, it could.
Because like societally, oh boy, can it get better than this?
Yeah.
You know, and that is not your point at all. We both believe in a much better version of society. Oh yeah. So
I do, but I also think that like zeitgeists are like inscrutable market forces. Like, you know, like it's.
Are they still in the same way though? Because I feel like part of the problem here is that people are living in different zeitgeists.
No, I just think, but I mean, like, you know, there are cycles to, I don't think that you can fix it. That's my point. I think that you have to just like make the most of your, like, live the best version of your life.
I think that is the best thing that you individually can do to fix it. You know, I was thinking while you were talking about this and like no fun movements, you know, my grandfather, who was born in 1923, would talk about the Depression and the World War as the most fun time in his life. Because if you think of it from an American perspective, like, I think we got out of that because the youth of America was still having fun despite how horrible it was. Like, he said, like, he felt communities come together. They went to, like, him and my grandmother started dating in high school, and they went to all of these dances, like, in their gyms, their school gyms that were completely free. It was free entertainment. Mm-hmm. And the sense of community, I think, and they stayed close to their high school friends throughout their entire lives, through the war, through everything, because in the hard times they banded together and decided to have a good time. They drank Manhattans, they went to dances, they sewed together outfits to wear, like, you know, they had a good time.
That's nice.
So we can too, Greg.
Yeah, it just
we'll be the arbiters of fun in this shithole.
I was thinking about and there was some other points too where people are like, what was it? Somebody who was like, you know, society or young people, I'm going to focus on what's important and really, you know, try to become something, blah, 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 do this guy, be a hedonist. And I was just like, yep, that's exactly right. I think ambitions are misplaced. I think that somebody tricked you into thinking that life is about more than feeling good and making people around you and not stopping other people from feeling good. It's a trick. It's a trick. It's a trick that we play on young men to make them go fight wars. We give them causes. There's no cause. There's no causes. Like, that's a trick. It's a thing old men do to go get young men to die. And women.
Yeah.
Of course, I think
we'll see. For how much longer, we'll see.
Do you really want to be in the military?
Me personally, no, but I understand why people do.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, the brainwashing.
Exactly. I can understand how it's an avenue to I don't know. I can wrap my head around why some people feel the call to do something like that.
Of course I can. I was there.
This is like, it's a little bit different, but it reminds me of Fran Lebowitz and that documentary with that Martin Scorsese did. Yeah. And she's like, I don't understand why the gays are fighting for marriage. Like, we're free from this institution. Why do you want this? Yeah. She's like, I'm not going to stand in your way. I understand that some people want to be married and good for you. I can't understand it. I loved that point of view. I love her. I agree with her on most things.
I agree too. Honestly, I think that's a healthy attitude. Like, you don't need to understand everything. In fact, I think that expecting other people to understand you is not a great thing either, to be honest. Like, you don't need to be understood. You just need to be tolerated. You know, like, I don't need to be understood. I don't expect you to. I think it's personally, come cancel, Greg. I think it would be hubristic of me to believe myself capable of understanding a lot of other people's, like, very personal perspectives. I think that would lead me to make assumptions that are unfair. I don't need to understand. I need to make space for. I need to tolerate and say, you know, and like that. But, like, understand. I don't understand. I can't understand. I can't understand your struggle. I have no fucking way to relate to that.
And there will be very few moments that it is even relevant in your life.
Yeah. yeah. I think that being a requirement, I can only feel compassion or make space for people that I understand is a problem. And I am only interested in having people make space for me when they understand me on my terms is a problem. I think that those two ideologies they're bad places to start from.
I think that the roadblock you run into as a straight white man is that us minorities need people like you to do more than understand in order to beat the other people like you who want to control and have power.
Yeah, it feels like it's a vicious circle of Ouroboroses or the snake that eats its tail.
Yeah. The power in numbers is hard to overcome.
I agree. Yeah, I understand.
All right, let's wrap this up. Power in numbers, like the townspeople all being together. It's a zombie collective. And I do think that's what zombie horror and that type of things is responsive to, is this collective whole coming at you and the inability to stop it.
Well, I mean, the Reagan period is when you get, like, some of the best zombie films. And it's because of the kind of the moral majority, the conformity, the oppressive sort of unrelenting crush of this society that cannot be stopped, that's everywhere. I think that's a big part of it. So.
Definitely feeling that right now. So time for some great zombie movies to come out, people.
I think art's dead, man. I don't think great art's coming.
Which is why we will be living in the 80s and 90s bargain bins, and we will be digging through there until such time art lives again.
There's too much money. This is for another episode. We're getting into another episode.
We've got plenty of time today to get into other stuff.
It's too much money. All right, that was Midnight Local. Come cancel me.
Bye.
Bye.